Hi guys, it's Kate from LoveStory, and today I'm going to be doing the BookTube Newbie tag, so you guys get to know a little bit about me and my rating. So, in the editing, I'm going to attempt to put the questions up on the screen, but if I fail at that, then they'll always be down in the description so you can follow along. So, question 1, why did you start this channel? So, we originally started LoveStory, me and Howard, my boyfriend, to just talk about movies, TV, books, things that we're passionate about. I decided to go into BookTube because I'm always talking about books, and people are getting sick of hearing me talk about books, honestly, especially books they haven't read. So Howard suggested going on YouTube and talking about books and finding you all that love the same kind of books that I do and just having that conversation. Question 2, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? So one of the things that I'm most excited about for BookTube is to bring the idea of bibliotherapy to BookTube and YouTube and the reading population in general. Now, you all know as book lovers that books are definitely therapy. They help you in times of need, in times of joy. They bring out emotions in you, but there is this thing called bibliotherapy, which is literally books as therapy, and it's become a hot profession and a hot thing for therapists to recommend to their patients. Now, of course, with anything, if you have bibliotherapy is meant as an addition to therapy for the most extreme cases. If you're a mild case, it could help you, so you don't need therapy. But for the most extreme cases, definitely seek a therapist, psychologist, counselor, something like that. But that's one thing that I'm really excited about, to be able to talk about books in the sense of therapy and actually helping people instead of just reading them and, enjoying the story, but that's it. I think another unique fun thing is that I am always behind on my rating, in the sense that I don't read the popular books when they're popular. I tend to come to them a couple years after they're actually popular, so a lot of the books I'm reading are 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, however long it's been since they've been popular, and because I'm reading in terms of bibliotherapy, a lot of the books that I'm reading are now considered classics. And so there's a lot of books that I'll be talking about on this channel that you wouldn't necessarily see on other channels. And so that's, I think, kind of a unique thing for BookTube. Question 3, what are you most excited for? And I've already answered this question, but I'll go and do it again. Talking about books with people that love books. Definitely follow us, comment. I love that discussion that's always on BookTube. Help us out. Being able to actually have reasons to read instead of just loving it and wanting to do it for my own sake. Being able to help people with my bibliotherapy. I'm not a licensed bibliotherapist at all, which is actually a thing, some people are. But I love finding the right books to help people in the right times. Question, what are we on? 5. What book series got you into reading? Oh my gosh, okay, so many. So, ever since I was a kid, ever since I can remember, I've been reading. And one of my first distinct memory of reading is using the Curious George books to both teach myself how to read and write. So I would sit there constantly. First I started with tracing paper, and I would trace out the pages in the Curious George books and just trace them over and over and over again with that really thin tracing paper. And that's how I started learning the letters and learning how to read. And once I knew the letters, then I was able to copy the pages over onto just blank pages, like printer paper and stuff. And that's how I learned how to read and write. And that was before I was even in kindergarten. Once I got to kindergarten, the teachers didn't really know what to do with me because I already knew how to read and write. And that's the main thing that you learn in kindergarten. but I also, so I loved Curious George right here. You can't see it obviously, so that was pointless, but whatever. Curious George, I loved, oh yeah, the Boxcar Children, I was obsessed with. I wanted to be one of them. The Secret Garden, the, what, Tuck Everlasting. And then as I got older, my reading obviously advanced, and I started reading more and more in middle school and high school. I was obsessed with Emily Dickinson's poetry and Edgar Allan Poe, which kind of gives you a clue into how I was at those ages. But I just read, just like I do now, everything that I could get my hands on. I didn't really have a problem like some people do, where parents say they can't read certain things for certain reasons. My mom encouraged reading, but we weren't wealthy at all, so a lot of my reading was secondhand through the library, or books that my sister had that were passed down to me when she grew out of them. But I've always loved reading, and so Curious George, Magic School Bus too. Of course, as I was older when I really got into Harry Potter, it was just like now, after they were really popular. But I think it was even, I saw like the third movie or something before I started reading the books, and then I completely fell into that world. But there are so many I could mention. I would just go on and on and on. Oh, I've skipped why do you love reading? All of the reasons mentioned. The escapism in reading, you can go into literally any world, any person, any language, any country, any time, and just escape into there and escape the real world, which is really great right now, especially with everything going on. If you just need that escape, just open a book. Like the sign says behind me, I guess over here, you discover you have wings when you open a book. So true. You can just fly away to a different world and escape whatever you're living in. And that was big for me when I was in middle school and high school and going through some really tough times and depression. Reading got me through everything there. I also love that it brings out emotions in me that I didn't necessarily know I had at that moment. And you read a sad book and you didn't realize you needed that good cry, but you got it anyways, or you didn't realize that you needed that sense of hope, but you get it through reading. It brings out emotions that you have sometimes hidden, sometimes just not known, and those are really why I love reading. Just the effect that words put together have on a person and their emotions. Okay, so back to question 6. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? So my favorite booktubers, and I will tag them below in the description: Murphy Napier, love her, Haley in Bookland, and I still love Ariel Bissett, even though she's kind of gone more into the documentary phase instead of the classic booktuber. I absolutely love her. All of her videos are so amazing. So my first question would honestly be, can we be friends? Because I love them and I just want to be friends with them. But also things like, how do you keep your enthusiasm throughout all your videos? How do you create new ideas? How do you engage with your subscribers and your commenters? How do you stay consistent? How do you balance life and BookTube and everything coming at you at once? Typical questions like that everyone says on these things, I think. What challenges in starting a BookTube channel do you think would be the hardest to overcome? Things like I said in the previous question. What kind of questions? Being consistent. I'm got a full-time job. I'm now a booktuber, and I'm in library school and master's program. So there's a lot going on in my life, and just staying consistent with uploading videos. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna upload them on a certain day, because if I miss one day, then I'll feel really bad. But just staying consistent and uploading a certain amount during the week. And I think also being able to summarize books without giving away any spoilers. I love talking about books, but I tend to not know exactly how to talk about them without going through the entire book. I think starting to learn a balance of how to talk about it without giving away too many spoilers, but there's always still like that hint of spoilers. And I know some people love to hear just everything about a book, but most people don't want the spoilers because they want to actually read the book. If you give a good recommendation, then they'll want to read the book. So trying to find that balance will be one of my biggest challenges, I think. Question 8, when did you start reading? Like I said, I've literally since I can remember, I've been reading. So before kindergarten is when I started reading the Curious George books. So that was what, age 4, 5-ish, around there. But ever since I remember, my earliest memories have been reading with a book. Question 9, where do you read? I am the type of person that always has a book with her. So literally everywhere and anywhere I read. And now I've recently started getting more into audiobooks. And so literally anywhere I read, either a physical book or an ebook or an audiobook, I'm almost always reading. Whether it's at home, at work, in bed, which is one of my favorite places to read because it's so comfy. At my desk, in the kitchen making dinner, in the shower sometimes because of audiobooks. It's amazing. On a walk, in the coffee shop when we used to be able to go into coffee shops. In grad school, when I got my MFA in creative writing, I used to read at the bar. So literally everywhere. Number 10, and the last question. What kind of books do you like to read? Everything. If you look at my shelves one day, maybe we'll do a bookshelf tour. I literally have every kind of book there is. Classics, contemporary poetry, nonfiction, fiction, sci-fi, kids, adults, young adults, everything. I think my favorites are nonfiction, which is what I got my MFA in, what I myself write when I do write. I'm slowly getting back into that, I think. I love the classics because I'm getting into the classics that everyone read growing up in high school and college that for some reason I wasn't assigned or I don't remember reading. So I'm getting back into those classics. Huge fan of Jane Austen. I love Jane. She's so witty and amazing. And one of my new favorite genres is historical fiction. So I've become obsessed with like the Outlander series, both the books and the TV show, which is excellent. And we'll have a whole video on that, or several videos probably, because they're so amazing. I love sci-fi because that's a great escapist genre. I love romance, literally everything. The one thing that I have trouble getting into, and it's not a detriment to the genre, but just a detriment to myself and being able to actually read it and take away what I'm supposed to, is poetry. But I love poetry, but I have a hard time reading it because I read so fast that I don't absorb it as much as I think I'm supposed to. And so that's my BookTube newbie challenge. Let me know, what are your favorite books, your favorite genres, what books you loved growing up, your favorite booktubers. I'm always looking for new people to follow. So let me know in the comments, and let me know your answers to the questions. I'll put them in the description. I can't wait to start a discussion with you all. Like, comment, subscribe, notification button, all of that good stuff. And we'll see you next time.